All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to Rovali's podcast. We have a very special guest with us today. I'm super excited for you guys to get to know her. I got to know her a little bit. And what I normally like to do first is I like to do a toast and then we'll do the intros, okay? So have a toast with me. You got something to drink?
I
There
do.
you go. All right. There we go. That's part of the tradition.
I love it.
So this is Abby Laing, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a little bit about where you're from and kind of your background.
Perfect. So hi, I'm Abigail Laing, or Abby. Either way is just fine, both my name. I currently serve as Miss Weber County in the Miss America organization. The Miss America organization is a pageant, but it is the largest provider of scholarships to women in the nation. During competition, we compete in 5 different stages. We have a private interview with the judges, which is 10 minutes, free game. They can ask us anything they want, so I have to be well-versed in pretty much everything. After the interview, we have talent, which is a big portion of our score. And as you can see behind me, there's a piano. I'm a classical pianist. We have evening wear, which is one of my favorites, on-stage question, which is another like live interview with the judges in front of all the audience. So it's really neat. I've been involved with the Miss America organization for about 6 years. I've held 4 titles: Miss North Ogden, Miss Zion, and then because of COVID, 2 years as Miss Weber County. So I guess for me, that's the one good thing that's come out of COVID is I've had the chance to serve an extra year. Miss Utah is kind of the goal for us as local title holders. We compete for Miss Utah in June, and then the winner of Miss Utah will go on to compete for Miss America, hopefully in December, barring COVID regulations. I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education. Teaching's awesome. I love it. I love kids. But I'm going on to get my master's degree in intelligence studies, and I plan to work as an intelligence analyst out on Hill Air Force Base.
Wow. So as you can tell, she is well-versed in giving a brief bio about who she is, where she comes from, because I'm sure that you've had many speaking engagements since becoming Miss Weber County and the duties that are, entailed. So can we delve in a little bit to, before we get to, your personal, like what you like and hobbies and stuff like that, kind of delve in a little bit to the duties of, Miss Weber County and the things that you're kind of, I don't want to say tasked to do, but maybe that's the correct word, that you need to, fulfill.
Perfect. I can definitely do that. So when you compete for a pageant, before you're allowed to do anything with competition, you're given a contract, and that contract will outline kind of the expectations that Miss America has for its local title holders. And for me, I take contracts very seriously, where the contract tells you that as a title holder, whether local, state, or national, this is to be taken seriously. This is your full-time job. And so with that, I work as a substitute teacher so that I only have to take shifts whenever I happen to, whenever I happen to have a spare moment, because this job, this title is my job. I have the opportunity to really travel all over northern Utah with what's called my social impact initiative. Now, your social impact initiative for a title holder is kind of like, it's your base. It used to be called a platform. It's something that this is the one thing that you will work on your entire year as a title holder. Mine happens to be organ donation. And so I am a volunteer educator with Donor Connect in Salt Lake City, and they oversee the transplantation of organs all over the Mountain West. So I go around with their education team, and I teach in junior highs, high schools, and tech colleges about organ donation. So I've met a lot of really cool people that way. And as a title holder, you honestly can be as busy as you want to be. You can do an event or an appearance once a week, once a month. It's really up to you. But because I signed a contract that said that this is going to be my job, I try to do something every day.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, I'd like you to also tell the audience how we met.
I'd love to. So right now I'm working on a video series called Shop Small Weber County. COVID obviously has impacted a lot of us very deeply. And the one thing that I've been able to see within our little community of Weber County is I've seen a lot of small businesses that I have really loved go under. it's been really hard. And there's not a whole lot that you can do outside of shopping local. I wanted to do something more. So right now, like I said, my series is called Shop Small Weber County, and I've been going around to small businesses within Weber County and interviewing the business owners, kind of talking about how they've been impacted by COVID. And then really, I wanted to get the emotional backstory of their story, versus, rather coming to Rovali's, which is a small business. It has the coolest ambiance. I loved it. I want people to realize that that's important, that the funds go to your small family. It goes right back into the community versus going to McDonald's, which then, really, what's the benefit of that? So I met you, obviously, interviewing you with Rovali's.
Well, and I got to tell you, she came with her mom, and they did this interview, but the interview was so insightful. It wasn't the standard, the standard questions, and I really gained a lot of knowledge from her, as far as I mentioned in the podcast yesterday, her passion for what she's doing, and like she said, she's very serious about it. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't bring fun and encouragement and enthusiasm and all those kinds of things to it, because she does. And it was like one of the funnest interviews that I've ever done. So I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot.
So let's move on. So you have so many different irons in the fire, because you still have to. Now you've got another. You're doing another contest of some sort, right? Is that correct?
I am. So as a local title holder, part of that contract says if you win this local title, whether it be Miss Weber County, Miss Davis County, Miss Salt Lake, Miss North Ogden, whatever your local title is, you sign that contract, you will go on to compete for Miss Utah. And it's always in June. Last year, June 2020, the competition had to be postponed because of COVID. And so we do have dates, June 8th through the 12th in Salt Lake City. We will hold Miss Utah. And that's currently what I'm preparing for. I'm preparing for that interview portion, to be able to communicate with the judges exactly who I am, what my plans are as Miss Utah and as Miss America, preparing my talent piece, which is very difficult, but it's really neat. And preparing for these competitions, it really allows me to step back and get to know myself in a way that I wouldn't otherwise.
And I'm sure that it pushes you to excellence. And whether you had that before you joined these organizations or not, I'm sure you did. But also, you have to. I would imagine that you'd have to just continue to increase, the levels of expertise or knowledge, like you said, the question part of it. But I want to ask you, because you answered this question for me, but I would like our viewers to know. What's the end goal for winning this? What kind of benefits besides the relationships that you build along the way, and getting to know people and organizations and what they do, but what's the benefit to you if you win, like Miss Utah? Miss Utah,
yes, definitely. I'm not married, Miss Utah. So the benefit to me, aside from really building up my own life and my connections, like I said, Miss America is the largest provider of scholarships to young women in the nation. Just competing on a local level, I have been awarded over $14,000 in scholarships. So I've not paid for my bachelor's degree. That was completely paid for from the Miss America organization. So going on to win Miss Utah, the scholarship for Miss Utah is $10,000 to be able to pay for further education.
That's great. And that's what really impressed me, because I had no idea. Because a lot of people assume, and I don't want to do blanket statements, but I assumed it was a beauty contest of sorts. And you kind of corrected me on how it's different, like from now there's a Miss America, there's
Miss USA
and Miss Universe, right?
Yep.
So can you kind of tell the viewers the difference between those organizations, or those, I don't want to say contests, I don't know what to call it. What you
organizations, you had it right.
Okay.
Definitely. So Miss America, we focus, as you can see on my crown, there are 4 points of my crown, and they're symbolic. Each point represents a different different pillar of the organization. There's service, style, scholarship, and success. Those are the 4 things that Miss America focuses on, and they focus more heavily on service and scholarship. So as a title holder, we do a lot of service projects. Like I said, with our social impact initiatives, that's all service-based. And then obviously scholarships. Miss USA, Miss USA is part of the Miss Universe pageant. They are a pageant. They're called a pageant. Miss America is more of a competition. So Miss USA will compete for like Miss France, Miss Venezuela, Miss South Africa for the title of Miss Universe. And their pageant is awesome. It's really fun to watch. They still incorporate more of swimwear. Their interview isn't quite as long, I haven't competed before, but I know it's between like 1.5 minutes and 2 minutes, so it's significantly less than the 10 minutes with the judges. But they do a lot more with beauty and modeling and things like that.
Okay. Now you mentioned something about the question and answer period. Give us an example of a question that you might be asked or that you have been asked.
Oh dear. There are no holds barred on the questions that they can ask you. They can ask you anything political. They can ask you anything personal, anything pageant related, anything with your social impact initiative. I mean, I could be going on more of a conversation with the judges about the presidency or about women's rights, and then have another judge jump to a different topic and be like, oh, okay, well, if you were an animal, what animal would you be? So you have to really be fast and be willing to shift your mind. I remember the very first time I competed for Miss Weber County in 2015. So I had just graduated high school. I don't remember much of the personal interviews. My anxiety gets really high. And so for some reason, my brain blesses me, I guess, with the fact that once I step out of the interview room, everything just goes, okay, I don't remember it. But I do remember my onstage question. Generally an onstage question, it's the final opportunity for the judges to be able to communicate with you and see what kind of a public speaker you are, see how fast and how intellectual you can answer a question. And the question I was asked for my first pageant on stage in front of the judges, in front of the audience, in front of everyone was, if you had $1, what would you spend with that $1? And I remember standing there. So I had been preparing for answers about the president or about immigration or abortion. And I get this question about what would you buy with $1?
Threw you for a loop, huh?
Completely. I remember standing there thinking, I have no idea. What can you honestly buy with $1? And I think my answer ended up being something like, well, I think there's a lot of fun things at the dollar store. So obviously with every year that I continue competing, I always push myself to be more well-versed in everything, so that by now, when I'm asked a question like that, it doesn't throw me quite as bad as it did that one.
That's funny. Now, I do have an interesting question that popped up as you were talking, and that is, you would probably expect me to ask you the impact that you've had since being Miss Weber County and going to the various organizations and speaking and those kinds of things. But I'm going to flip the script on you and ask you, who's had the most impact, or what event or what words that were spoken that had the most impact on you through all this, through this journey? That's
a really, really good question, because I've met a lot of amazing people through the years, and I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of amazing nonprofits. But honestly, I think the thing that's going to stay with me the most are people that I've worked with through my social impact initiative with organ donation. I meet a lot of people who, my gosh, who were in heart failure, who were in kidney failure, who have kids at home, who are looking at, okay, well, instead of planning, like a vacation to Disneyland with their family, they're preparing their funeral. And that's devastating. Wow. That's devastating. And to hear them after they have come through, after someone out there was selfless enough to say, yes, I will be an organ donor. Tragedy, unfortunately, is always involved with organ donation, especially deceased organ donation. But these people who have been given a second chance at life, who have extra time with their kids, have extra time with their grandkids that otherwise was taken from them, and to be able to talk to them and to hear their stories really makes me realize that life really is precious. It's unexpected, and you don't know how much time you have. And so the time that you do have right now is invaluable. These
Wow.
people teach that to me every day.
Wow, that's incredible. And did it, I mean, did things change as far as what you just described is really powerful to me, but did things change through this year of COVID and you know, for you as far as what you saw, what you dealt with these organizations, these organ donor organizations?
It did. It did. COVID really impacted a lot. But the really cool thing, I have no idea how this happened, but in 2020, Utah hit a record number of organ transplants performed.
Wow.
With everything negative that was happening in 2020, we hit just the most amazing record where so many more lives were saved last year versus any other year. And to me, and we honestly can't explain it. We have no idea how that happened, why that happened. Maybe whoever's up there just decided that, hey, you know what, these people need something good. These people need something good. And that's, I've had a lot of other organizations that I've worked with that have been impacted. I sat on the board with Chalk It Up North. I don't know if you remember that, the Chalk Art 5K that was in North Ogden that benefited cancer patients.
Yes.
Yeah. I sat on their board for their organization, and they really struggled through COVID and have decided not to go forward. So it's been hard to see even nonprofits that have gone under with
Wow.
the impacts of COVID.
So, you know, it's interesting because just looking at your expression of donate of organ donors, you know, exceeding expectations, and then how you change to, you know, other organizations have gone under, and just the change. But you know, one thing that I think is critical in what you said, and that is that through this year of COVID, I think what you said is really key, and that is people are really knowing that life, how precious life is, you know, through these changes and through these weird times.
Yeah, they're unprecedented. It's something that nobody alive has ever experienced. Every day is new, and every day you have to be flexible. You have to just roll with the punches.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And see, guys, this is why I'm telling you, she just has a lot of passion for everything that she does. Now, I want to talk about the passion part of, tell me the things that you really enjoy doing when you're, I don't want to say your downtime, but just the things that you enjoy personally besides all the duties and the responsibilities that you have as Miss Weber County. What do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? There you go. Well, the piano obviously is something that I love to play. I've played the piano for most of my life. And for me, that's been a big stress relief to be able to sit at the piano and just play something peaceful and nice. Until COVID hit and things shut down, I love to figure skate. I love that freedom of being on the ice, but the cold on your face, just gliding across the ice. I love that. And this one's kind of my favorite. So when Disney Pixar's Brave first hit theaters, you know, the first Disney character we had, you know, with curly hair. And I would get little girls like in Walmart asking me all the time, or like even just pointing to their mom, oh my gosh, Mom, that's Merida. And although my hair is not red, I mean, that's pretty cool. Yeah, okay, Merida, she's awesome. She's strong. And I'm Scottish. She's Scottish. And so I went on KSL and I found a bow. I found arrows, and I taught myself how to be an archer because of that movie, because of the strength that I saw in Merida. And so I love to do that in my downtime. My parents are awesome. My poor back fence has a lot of holes, which I'm sure I will be paying for as soon as I'm finished with Miss America. But I love that.
That's pretty cool. So tell me, who are your biggest influences growing up?
Ooh, growing up, okay, I wanted to be an astronaut. Growing up, I loved the idea of space. I loved the idea of the unknown. I've always been one for adventure. When I was in sixth grade, I attended Astro Camp in Ogden. It's the elementary school with the shuttle coming off the front of it. Yeah, they held the camps there, week-long camps in the summertime that taught kind of the same things that Miss America does: leadership and teamwork and self-reliance, and just kind of the idea that you can do anything. Nothing is out of your reach. And so me at 10 years old, 11 years old, I'm like, well, if nothing's out of my reach, dang it, I'm going to be an astronaut. I was awarded, yeah, I know, right? I was awarded a scholarship from Northrop Grumman to attend space camp in Alabama with this drive. And obviously, as you can see, I'm definitely not an astronaut. My ideas and things have changed. But I had a lot of influences, a lot of leaders within the space organization, within NASA, that really were my driving force. My favorite were the astronauts on Apollo 13, the mission that tried to get to the moon and failed and had to come back barely with their lives. Those three men really were my idols growing up, seeing how things were thrown at them that they had no idea how to handle, how to fix, how to change, and just be able to rely on each other, rely on what they know, rely on what they can do to be able to work through the problem. And I relied on that a lot growing up.
That's pretty cool. And that kind of leads to my, one of my little mantras, Bruce Lee. He is a martial arts karate guy back in the day, but he was very, very wise for his age. He was a young man, very wise. And one of his favorite quotes that I always say, and I tell, people at Rovali's, and that is flow, be like water. Because sometimes something comes in the way and you have to navigate around it quickly, just like when you were asking, or they were asking you questions that you had no idea which question was coming next, So with that being said, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What advice would you give to a 10-year-old kid? Both boy and girl. What advice would you give to a 10-year-old child?
That is a really good question. Growing up, 10 years old is when I was first diagnosed with my anxiety disorder. And it was rough. I was bullied a lot in school because I tended to spiral down to worst case scenarios, because everything was just kind of overwhelming and anxious. And I think the advice that I could give, whether to my 10-year-old self, whether to 10-year-olds everywhere, is that things get better. And like I said earlier, nothing is out of your reach. Nothing is impossible. As long as you're willing to put in the work and realize that things will not be handed to you, you really can do anything.
I love it. That's great advice. That is really, really great advice. So I want to give you the last minute or two to just to talk about whatever it is that's on your heart, on your mind, whether it's organizational stuff or whatever it is. But I'd like to let you finish up the show with whatever's on your mind.
Thank you, Alex. Just to finish up, I'm really thankful for the community support that I have behind me as Miss Weber County. Whenever I go out into the community, whether I'm in my crown, whether I'm in my sash or not, people are always kind to me. People are always kind to each other. And that's something that when I've interviewed business owners, that's been the consensus, is that Weber County is just different. Weber County really does step up their game in kindness and respect to one another. And I really appreciate that. As a representative of Weber County, I've never had an instance where someone has been negative towards me, and I appreciate that. Moving forward with the Miss Weber County organization, we could always use support. We could always use people in our corner that will defend the organization and help defend us if the time ever comes to that. And then one last thing. Like I said, my social impact initiative, I work a lot with organ donation, and I've seen lives that have been changed. My dad is a living kidney donor and saved the life of my cousin. And that was impactful to me to be able to watch that happen within my own family. I really encourage you to either follow my social media pages. when I talk about organ donation, or do your own research so that you can make an informed decision, because every person with a driver's license or a state ID card, something that everyone has to have, you will be asked the question, do you want to be an organ donor? Yes or no? I really encourage you to do the research, find the information, and make that decision for yourself. No judgments on my part, whether you say yes, whether you say no, but I want you to make an informed decision. And then I want you to talk to your families about it, and then realize just how important and how life-saving that is to somebody.
And that's great. You know, as we go through this interview, I'm learning a lot. What I would like you to do is, if you wouldn't mind, after the interview concludes, if you would send me those links
I'd be happy to.
organ donation and the social organizations you're involved with, send them all to me. We'll post them on the page. So, because I post this everywhere, it's going to go to a lot of different platforms, and you know, we'll try and get people to click on that and find more information about organ donation, because I think it's just amazing and awesome.
I appreciate that, Alex. Thank you. It's amazing.
All right, now last question, and then we're going to end this. I promise. I'm having too much fun. What is your favorite food to eat? And it doesn't have to be spaghetti.
I mean, you never know. All right, my favorite food. Honestly, I think probably pizza.
All right.
I don't care from where. I don't care how long it's been in the fridge. I love it. Yeah,
All right.
that's my staple.
Excellent. Well, you know what, Abby, we want to thank you for your time. It was a fun interview. I hope you had fun too.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was great getting to know you. Great. Thank you for the interview that you gave to me at Rovali's. That was a lot of fun too. And I want to thank you for coming on the show. And you know, we wish you the best of luck of becoming Miss Utah. Miss Utah.
Miss Utah.
All right. Well, have
you,
a
Alex.
wonderful day. And thank you once again. And get out there and kick some butt, okay?
I will. You too. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.